My name's Miriam Stone. I am an event and venue consultant now for event managers and event management procedures and processes. I was, up until recently, the Director of Operations at the AO Arena in Manchester Arena. And before that, I was the duty manager on the day of the terrorist attack on the egress from the Ariana Grande concert on the 22nd of May, 2017. Everything had been quite normal. It had been a perfectly ordinary show, very expected attendance with expected young female audience there with their mums mostly, and everything had gone absolutely fine. And the moment that happened, the energy and everything changed in the room, and my immediate reaction was, I don't know what to do, and I want to go home. And that was my immediate thought, and I had to stop and take a breath and actually use that technique of counting to 10 almost, and saying, I am the person responsible and there is no choice and you can't go home. You actually have to do this. You have to pull yourself together. And there were people panicking around me, even in the control room. So the medical controller went a bit mad and was swearing a lot, and the logist stopped logging. Just did that, said I couldn't do anything. And the head of security wanted to go out and help his team, and I had to physically grab his hand and say, no, you have to stay in here. My immediate thought was it was parents waiting outside for children. That's what the biggest crowd was, and that the children were going to come out and that they would see their parents. So the immediate thing was to close off the area. And so we just kicked into, we'd done training, we'd practiced losing a door, losing an entrance or an exit, and we had to kick into that. And thankfully, everybody responded as they should have done. I doubt that when people are writing policies and procedures for their venue, that they actually think something is going to happen. And I think that's where the challenge comes, is trying for them to try and imagine what is actually going to happen, what might actually happen. So sometimes, for example, if I'm working with an event manager, I'll sit next to them during an event and I'll lean over and I'll whisper in their ear, and what if something happened now? And they go, oh, don't ask me that, we're in the middle of a show. And I said, when do you think these things are going to happen? So the challenge is that you don't think it'll ever happen. And I think, speak to anybody at the conference or anybody at any conference and say to them, do you think it will actually happen now? And I don't think they'll ever think it will happen. And that is the challenge. I think event venues can often be like a goalkeeper. So when it comes to preparing for an incident or preparing for the response to an incident, if you imagine that they're a goalkeeper, they're part of a team. By the time somebody has got to the doors or got to the goal mouth and they're ready to kick the ball into the goal, they've already gone through the security services, the government security services. They've gone through any program or plan. They've gone through airport security. They've gone through the police and all of these other agencies that are included or that have an element of responsibility. And by the time they get to the goal, it's just you and the goalkeeper. So the chances of the venue actually being able to stop somebody once they're there, once they're outside your venue and they have whatever tools with them that they need to carry out their attack, they're not stupid people. I know that people say, oh, they're stupid. They're not stupid. Anybody who can create a device like that without it going off while they're trying to prepare it, they're not stupid, you know? So by the time they've got to your goal mouth, it's just you and them. And you can't have stopped them from getting to there. So a lot of what you need to think about as a venue is your response. But it's really important that every pair of eyes that is outside your venue, that is part of that arrival process, be they volunteers or wayfinding staff or security or search staff, that they know what to look for. They know what does normal look like. Give them a photograph in their head of what normal looks like. And when they see something that isn't, empower them to say, this doesn't look right, something doesn't look right. Don't let them be afraid. Don't let them feel like they're silly or stupid or they'll be annoying because, I reported something yesterday. If I report something today, then they're going to think that I'm somebody who can't cope with the job, or none of that. You're always open to listening to what people say, whether that's a member of the public or a member of your staff or a member of the bar staff or a cleaner or anybody. That if they say something to you, that you take it seriously and that you understand it. So I would also say that venues need to practice, because when something goes horribly wrong, your muscle memory is what kicks in. What you've practiced repeatedly, that you have been through this again. And because even though your senses will be overwhelmed, there'll be a part of you in your head that says, we've done this before. We know what to do in this situation. So as long as you've practiced, you talk about it. Don't let it be a subject that people say, I can't talk about it because it's too scary. Or I can't talk about it because, if we talk about it, maybe it'll happen and I don't want to do that. We work in an industry where we have a responsibility for the safety of the people who come to the venue. So it's vital that it is a subject of conversation for everybody all the time.